Hey, Tony Guys is here. Want to touch on this topic. I had shot a video on it, but it was actually like at night, and I had it scheduled to go up today at noon, but it just didn't feel right to me having a nighttime video going up in the middle of the day. But and I was distracted, and other dad was talking to me when he dropped off my son, so I wanted to touch on this again. And this goes a lot of different ways, but when I was on Instagram, I saw these reels going around, and it has the voiceover, and it's saying basically, fathers don't have both options of having time and having money, because if I'm out making a living to take care of my family, I don't have all the time. And if I have all the time, then I don't have the money to take care of my family. And that is very true. In a lot of ways, it's very true. But it's still not, it's not an excuse for us as fathers. Because something I was thinking about last night, and a lot of times I'll just write something like a quote or something. I'll write it for myself, and I just write it out just to, have it on my heart, and just for to make it real to me. And I said to myself, I said, I chose to have children with my wife. And because I chose to have children with my wife, I have to make sure that I am there for my children, and at the same time make a living. So what that means is I have to create a job that I can earn enough money to give them a life, because kids don't really know what life is. They don't really know what expensive things are until you show them. And they, depending on the environment you put them in, that's going to determine what they learn about life. So your child can be accustomed to $50 shoes, $15 shoes, or $100 shoes. And it's just certain times in school where they'll learn what stuff costs, depending on the upbringing and the mindset of the kids that's at their school. But even then, you still can give your child a life to where they feel comfortable, and they're not being bullied and picked on in school for their clothes. But it doesn't have to mean you have to be a millionaire, and you have to have all this money for your child to be comfortable in life. And I think a lot of times as men, we get this idea that we gotta have all this money and we gotta make all this money, and as men, we also fall in love with work. We fall in love with the grind. We fall in love with going to get it, and that's our nature, and it's in us. But one thing that hit me as a man, and I remember because I was working this dream job, and I've told this story before, but if you missed it, I was working a dream job. I was working in the NBA, and here I am, a life coach. And as a life coach, in life coaching, there's certification, but it's not regulated by the government. So I have a certification program, but it's not required for you to take a certification for you to become a life coach, meaning to be paid for your time and advice. You don't have to be certified, because their certifications aren't backed. So therefore, there's no accreditation either. Sometimes people say, "Hey, is a life coach course accredited?" There's no such thing in coaching, but because some companies are deceptive, and they want to make you think that accreditation is a real thing in coaching, so that you go with a course that they have accredited, but the course may be trash, and the course creator may have had no real success as a life coach. And so me, I'm self-taught. I'm self-taught, I'm self-trained. My dad took a certification course. I created a certification course from my own success, from becoming a six-figure coach, a celebrity coach, an international coach. I said, hey, I need to teach other people what I did. So I created a certification course. So here I am as a life coach with no mentor or anything like that. And no mentor, no team, no agent, no publicist, no manager. And NBA GM starts following me on Twitter. And I sent him a DM and I'm like, hey, you know, if your team needs any help on the mental side of things, the guys need a mentor, let me know, I'm here. He said, hey, Tony, we would love to talk to you. And he said, I have somebody give you a call. So this other guy gave me a call. He's kind of like a vice president of player personnel. And he's like, hey, Tony, I've been following you for years. He was like, I've been following you for years. I heard your name some years ago. And I've been following you. He was like, so what do you do? And I told him kind of what I do as far as a mentor for athletes. And he said, all right, we're going to fly you out. And so they flew me out, and they flew me out again, and they flew me out again. And I think it was the second or third time they had me do a meeting with the team. And I gave a speech to the team. And after that, a couple of the players were like, man, we need you here full time. And so they told the VP, and then the VP was like, hey, Tony, we got to get you on a long-term deal. And so I signed a contract for 3 years. And I live on the East Coast. And here you go, this team over in Midwest, or I don't know what you'll call it, the South, but you going to the West. My contract stated that I could not say the team name. That's why I don't say the team name still to this day. But it said you can't say the team name. You can't talk about this at the family barbecue. You know, this confidential work. And they flew me in. So imagine being put on a plane and you being flown 3 hours every week, you know, 3 hours there, 3 hours back. And they flew me in, and I would be there for, my contract stated 2 days a week. But of course, they're gonna get more than that out of me, because I'll get there and they're getting ready to leave and go on a road trip. So now I'm on the team plane with the team and staff, and we on this big jet, and everybody got these big old chairs, and the players doing their thing, you know, and then we land, and then we stand in the Ritz-Carlton, and you know, it just was crazy. Me being a sports fan, it was crazy. And then I'm going to these different arenas. So I'm on the hardwood at the Boston Celtics and San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trail Blazers. I'm seeing these different arenas and just having an all access pass to where I could walk out on the middle of the court before the game and just stand there and take a picture of the logo, and I can walk down through the tunnel, and I could go in our locker room in and out as much as I want to. And it just was crazy. And I was 31 years old. But I ended up being gone because what I was being paid was it's probably double what a lot of teachers make. So I was being paid a full-time salary from the team, but I already had a brand. I had started building my brand full-time at 27. So by 31, I already had a full-size brand. So what I was being paid was around probably 10% of my income. And my family lived at my income level. So we didn't live at the level that I was being paid, even though it was full-time pay. We had surpassed that level of income in my family life. So I still had to do my other stuff, like my touring, my speaking tours. So I would be gone with the team, let's say Monday to Wednesday. I would get home Wednesday or Thursday, and then I had to leave again Thursday or Friday to go on tour. And so I would be gone like 5 days a week. My son was 8 years old. It was like he didn't really know me anymore. And I remember I came home, and that year I had a Maserati, and it was $160,000 car. It had 21-inch rims in the front, 22 in the back. So it had a staggered look. It was an MC Sport. So it was even a higher level than the 160. So it really was like 200,000 because it had a carbon fiber package that's around like 30 grand. And it had rims on it that was like $5,000 a wheel. So you're looking at another 20 grand, and probably the base of the car was like 180,000. So you kind of really around $250,000 car I'm driving in, and I got an 8-year-old son. So for an 8-year-old, that's a huge deal. And we riding in the car. I'm thinking he just gonna be excited to listen to that engine on the way to school as I'm taking him to school. And he was just talking. My son's still like that to this day. He's 14. He talks nonstop. But at that time, my mind was just going everywhere because I'm working with these players who we had a couple that made over 30 million a year. So egos that big, and it just bombarded my mind. And I said to my son, I'm like, hey son, you don't have to talk all the time. You can just, ride and look out the window and just, but I was kind of asking him to be quiet so I could think. And he said, oh, I'm quiet sometimes. You just wouldn't know because you're never here. And it sounds slick out the mouth. And he said that, my heart dropped to my foot and a tear rolled down my face because it hurt my feelings so bad, because I'm like, man, he's right. My son 8 years old and he growing, and I brought him into the world, not what y'all get too deep into it. Sometimes people get too deep and you ain't bring him in the world, your wife brought him in the world. That's not what I'm talking about. Meaning I chose to lie down with my wife and make a baby. And so I have to make sure as a man that nothing comes before my child, that I don't let work come before my child. And if my child, if work comes before my child, I got to figure out a new type of work. I got to figure out another way to make money. And that has to be my challenge as a man, because as a man, I have to take care of my responsibilities that I brought into the world. And I got to be creative, ingenuity, whatever you want to call it, innovation. Like what you see behind my head, that website, I had to create so that I could create residual income, passive income, multiple streams of income, so that I can have control over my schedule and I can be home more. And after that happened, I called the guy who hired me. I said, hey man, I can't do this no more. It probably was April or something. The season didn't end till June. And he was like, Tony, no, Tony, just get us through the season, man. Just get us through the season, and we'll visit this in the summer. We'll visit it in the summer. And I'm like, man, I'm losing my family. And I noticed my wife, she was like a shell of herself, because here we were, we had an 8-year-old, and I think we had 1-year-old. Yeah, Tatum was 1. So now she got a little baby and she got Tony, and I'm traveling. And it's like, yeah, it sounded cool when she talking about it. Oh, my husband work in the NBA. He's a life coach for an NBA team. Yeah, that sound cool. Until she doing everything by herself as a single mom, when all I'm doing is just earning money. But I earn way more of that sitting at home, or just doing my normal schedule, to where me going 3 days a week, 2 days a week during a tour season, that was understood. That was we was used to that. But me being gone 5-6 days a week every week, and the NBA season from October to like June. So that's like 8 months. And depending on how far the team go. And so I made up my mind then. I said, I gotta be home more. And my son texted me now, because I text him a little motivation today. He got a game today. And I started to just dream. I started to dream. I started to think, and I started to push myself. Okay, Tony, what can you do? Like, what you gonna create? What can you create that's going to, and I remember that year, my income was going down because I was giving all of my time to this NBA team and not doing as much of my other work. And but the NBA team only accounted for like 10% of my income or around that. And so my income was going down. But fortunately, I made like 200,000 from a spokesperson deal that God just delivered. You know, it just came out of nowhere. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a manager. Nobody was marketing me. It just this marketing company found me and was like, "Hey, we want you to be a part of a campaign we doing for this car that's coming out, and want you to tell your unstoppable story." And so that kind of parlayed into about $200,000 over the course of a couple months. So that was a huge blessing just from God. And because I didn't do anything for that other than have a brand online. It was like, we found your website and we went and we saw your bio video on your website. And that's essentially what this campaign is. It's kind of going to be just your story. And you with 3 other people telling their story. And that's the campaign for this car company. And so I was like, okay, cool. And we did it. I negotiated the deal myself without an agent and got triple what they were offering me, and which was it was a good blessing from God because I could have lost it by negotiating so aggressively. But that happened. And then that summer, you know, the team, they fired their coach. They weren't doing good. They fired their coach. And so we was able to mutually part ways, basically. And that it was bittersweet, you know, because in one way I kind of felt like I was being fired, but at the same time, I knew that I had also asked or told him that I wasn't going to be able to do this whole 3 years because with my family, my wife, when I was come home, she would look like a zombie almost. You know, and when I talked to her about it, I'm like, why are you so kind of cold, kind of distant? She was like, because I can't get all the way into you and be excited because the next morning you leaving again. And so it just won't. And it's not like I was making, it's different if I was an NBA player making 30 plus million, you know, 5 million, 10 million. You know, I wasn't to a million yet. And so I was making hundreds of thousands, but still I was making that before the NBA. And so it didn't make sense to be doing all of this traveling. It's taking all of my time. And then sometimes I'm on the phone 4 o'clock in the morning with a player from like midnight to 4 a.m. And I'm like, what the world? And I'm sitting in my wife's closet talking and she in the bed, you know, sleeping. And these guys, I would be getting called from, you know, one of the players every day, like almost all day long. And it just was so draining. But I say that to say, as men, a lot of time we look at our work and we say, oh, this is what matters most, and this pay the bills, and love don't pay the bills, and we get so caught up. But if you have children, your children got to come first. And I said to myself, I'm like, what does it profit me if I'm making all this money, but my son becomes a drug dealer? My son becomes a womanizer, an abuser, because I wasn't actively home every day. Not even every day, but every week. Even if you got to travel sometimes, but because what happens if I miss all my son's games? You know, I'm missing their big days because I don't have control over my schedule because I'm a slave to somebody else's job. And my child grow up and don't know who he is. And he doesn't have an identity. And when you look at a lot of overworked men, you'll see, when you look at the ones you know personally, you'll see a lot of their daughters are pregnant before the age of 18. A lot of them pregnant out of wedlock. You look at the boys, a lot of them identity crisis. either want to be a thug, want to be a pothead, want to become a woman, want to, just all different kind of identity crisis that the boys go through. Same thing with the girls too. And it's the father was overworked. He was all over the place. He was just working, traveling. And we get so caught up in, oh, I got to make a living. Oh, I got to make a living. Oh, I got to make a living. And it's like, if you got to make a living that bad, then don't have children. If you want to make a living that bad, don't bring children into the world. But if you have children, you got to find balance. And balance going to mean something different to different people. For some people, balance is all lowercase. For some people, balance got a capital B. For some people, balance is a capital BAL. For some people, the whole word is capital. So here I was, and I'm gonna share with you just my story so you kind of as a man can walk through and start to think. So I said to myself one night, I was like, Tony, I was like, okay, what can I do to make money while I sleep? Like, how can I earn while I'm sleeping? Like, how can I earn from home? And I say, I was like, okay, I can take my knowledge, and if I put it online, it lives online. So if it's midnight for me and I go to sleep, it's 9 p.m. for California. It's 5 a.m. for London, 10 a.m. for Australia. So it's different times all around the world. So even at midnight, when I'm sleeping, somebody could be taking my course. And I said, what am I going to call that? Oh, Tony Gaskins Academy. So I went to GoDaddy.com. I bought Tony Gaskins Academy. I talked to a friend of mine who's my business partner. I said, hey, man, I want to build an online academy. We hired a company for $14,000. They built an online academy. It crashed in a month. They go out of business the next month. The software that keep it up and running, they going out of business. That software going out of business. They want to charge me $6,000 a month to pay their bills so that they could stay in business. They go out of business. And then they said, well, we got another young lady. She could like rebuild it and stack it and put it on another server and all that for you. She charged $4,000. Pay her $4,000. She rebuild it. She do something with it. It crashed again in like 2 weeks. So we had spent $18,000. The last $4,000 I spent on one of my American Express cards. So I was able to file a claim and they gave me the $4,000 back, and she had to kick rocks. And then, so we spent $14,000. Fortunately, the first month of launch, the Academy made 30,000 plus. It made 30,000 plus because I had built an audience online from posting quotes every day and posting videos over the years. So I had an audience that was ready for my courses. And then I just went to a software that was already built. They had already built it. They had raised millions of dollars. And I learned the lesson then. Instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, just go, buy a wheel and put it on your vehicle, And so I went to their site and it was only $99 a month. So if I can make $30,000 a month from courses and pay $99, that's a no-brainer. So now I had no setup fees or nothing like that, just $99. And I put a course on there and I added a course. And today, TonyGaskinsAcademy.com, I have over 20 courses on there. I probably got about 25 courses. Not all of them are live. Some of them I've hidden. But they'll go live again on Thanksgiving. So make sure, and they'll be the lowest that they have been this year. So mark your calendar, put in your calendar, Thanksgiving and Black Friday. If the course that you need, it'll be as low as it has been this year. So make sure you mark your calendar, set the reminder now. Now I'm telling you now, because when this clock strike midnight on that Friday night or Black Friday going into Saturday, all the prices getting changed. And then you're going to be sitting there, and do not wait to midnight, Friday night at midnight, which is basically Saturday morning, to try to buy the course. People always do that. And then write in, oh, I had it in my cart and I was getting ready. Why did you wait till midnight? You had all day long and the day before, so keep that in mind. So the academy, I launched that in 2017. I had already had the site, the system from 2015, but I hadn't used it, or 2014, I hadn't used it. And because I wanted to be a boss, I wanted to build my own. I didn't want to use theirs. And I had to go crawling back to them. In 2017, I launched it. And if you want to use that system I use, then I have a course called Online Courses 101, or How to Create an Online Course. And you take that course and I walk you through the whole process, teach you everything. And that academy began to earn. And listen, I don't have a college degree. I don't have a college degree, and I still don't have a mentor or any of that. I just use my mind. You're capable of creating. You got to just trust yourself, and you got to just lay down or go on a walk or take a shower, whatever you got to do to just expand your mind and say, okay, how am I going to change my life? How can I be more present for my children, but yet still earn a living? And when you use your mind, you're going to realize the power of the mind. So in the year of the pandemic, when everything went crazy, that year I did no traveling. I mean, I did free traveling, but I did no traveling, no paid traveling, and still earned a great living from home. And I actually earn more from home. And then now I work from home. And I earn more than I used to earn, than I've ever earned, just by using my mind. The other thing that hit me later, around 2019, because I still was doing some traveling through 17, through 18. 2019, I said, I want to be home even more. I'm gone sometimes 3 days a week, doing a speaking engagement. I said, I want to be home even more. And that's when I said, okay, I'm going to go extremely hard in YouTube. Because it was a guy who hit me, and he was like, yeah, I got a guy I manage. He make $40,000 a month from YouTube. And I looked at the guy, he's doing pranks and stuff. And I'm not into that kind of stuff. But I'm like, okay, I might not make $40,000 a month, but even $3,000 a month, that's what a school teacher makes. $4,000 a month. I'm like, that's still residual income, and I'm using my gift. And so I'm showing up, I'm using my gift. And if you take my YouTube for Beginners course, you'll see what I made that year, the year that I showed that in that course. And you'll see how that panned out. I don't share that information publicly with everybody, but you'll see how that panned out. But that was another thought that I had looking for a solution. So what you have to understand about the mind is that when you have a problem and you sit and you spend some time pondering, your mind is going to deliver a solution. You look at our world that we exist in. All of this was created from the human mind. So as men, we have to stop making excuses about what we can and can't do, and how much we got to work, and why we can't be there for our kids because we got to work and we got to do this and do that. No, use your mind and create business and develop something that gives you time freedom, because it is possible and you can do it. And it don't have to look just like what I do. It don't have to look just like what I do. I got a mentee who, he was doing physical labor. He don't even have kids, but he was doing physical labor outside. And in his company, you do the labor and then you bill the insurance company. He got into a new position now in his company to where now he does the billing for other companies that do that same physical labor, but they may not have a relationship with the insurance company. And he also does lending to where this small company, they need their $100 today. He shoot them the 100, then he bills the insurance company for the 200 or whatever it is, and he get his money plus some on the back end. And so that's his business model. And now he's making way more than he made doing the physical labor. But that was something he was thinking about and where he wanted to go and what he wanted to do. And he young. So I say that to say you can create time freedom. You can find balance for whatever that means to you. It's going to mean something different to everybody, but it does exist. People say balance don't exist. It does exist. It just may be different for you than me. And we may call it two different things, but it's still balance. So I'm here today and I'm working. This is work. I'm working, but this is also my purpose. This is also my passion. So I got everything in one. And my kids are in school right now. My wife, she dropped them off. I don't know what she doing, if she got an appointment or she headed home. My oldest son has a game today at 4 p.m. I get to be at my son's game. I typically would be on the road. I typically would be gone. And I may do a Zoom seminar tomorrow on Saturday. I haven't scheduled it yet or posted it yet, but if I do, I'll post it on my community page today on YouTube if the flyer gets done. But I was gonna do a Zoom seminar tomorrow on something. I can't remember what it was on. And then maybe again on next Saturday. So now I'm gonna do virtual seminars so that people from around the world can be on with me virtually versus me going to LA or Atlanta or Houston or New York and only the people in that city could be there. And then me having to hire a company to live stream, and if I want to live stream and have to worry about all that technical issues, when now I could be home with my family and I can get on Zoom and do the same thing I would do in person, except for now, I don't have to worry about a loose woman's energy coming up to hug me. I don't have to worry about somebody, coming up after I done talked for 2 hours, 3 hours, and they want to tell their life story, and I'm sitting there and I'm drained, about to pass out, and they don't care at all because it's their opportunity to tell their life story, and I can't solve their problem right there in that moment. And then I got a line of 200 people that's waiting, and I have to sign 200 books, take 200 pictures, and it's amazing to have that feeling, to have that many people that even care to meet you. But it's also extremely draining because I'm a human. I'm not a robot. It's extremely draining. And it's after I just spoke for 2-3 hours. And so now I could come on here, have a set time, be on Zoom. So let me tell you, I'm doing this right here. When I finish this video, I'm going to shoot another video. I'm going to shoot another video because that's all I got to do today is shoot videos. So a person could look like, man, Tony, you do a lot of videos. I don't have nothing else to do today. I don't coach clients on Friday. I coach clients on Tuesday and Thursday. And then I have some VIP clients that may have a session on a random day, but that'll be just a couple people. And so here I am. I could just shoot videos today and I could load up on videos. And it's Friday. I try to gear videos toward men on Friday. So the men can't say all you do is help women and you don't care about men. I want to help men the best I can as well. And so I'm going to shoot some more videos, and this video will go up. Then maybe I'll have another one later and another one later. And 4 p.m., my son has a game. I get to leave the house, get the sprinter. I'm going to clean it up, vacuum it up because he got a game from 4. It'll probably be 4 to 6. And then after that, him and a few of his teammates and another dad getting in the sprinter, in my sprinter, and we driving an hour 15 to a tryout for a select team that they pick a team and take them over to Germany or Italy to play soccer over there for like 2 weeks. And so we go into that tryout and and then coming back to the school so I could drop off the dad and his son and then coming on home. And then in the morning, I have to get up about 7 a.m., leave the house by 7:30 because our youngest son has a soccer game an hour away. So we get over there, hour and a half. We'll get there. No. So I have to leave the house probably 6:30 to be there at 8 because this game at 9. They want them there an hour early typically. So we'll have to leave the house 6:30. I'll wake up at 6 a.m. And then after that game, it'll be done by 10. We come back that hour and a half, come back home. And then we have from 11:30 till about 2:30 3 to relax, and then we going to pick up my oldest son's friend, and we got to drive 2 hours to the NBA game because we got tickets to the NBA game, and we taking my son's friend. So driving 2 hours over there, and then watching the game, and then 2 hours back. So in that day, I'm gonna be one and a half. That's 3 hours, and then 2 hours, 4 hours. That's 7 hours of driving I'm gonna do tomorrow for my kids. But guess what? When I get back home at 11:30, my seminar is on Zoom is from noon to 2 p.m. If the flyer gets done. I'm not gonna have it if I don't get the flyer, but I'm waiting on the flyer. I just gave an assignment to my assistant this week, and I just hired an assistant this year, a few months ago, to do stuff like this. I email her, hey, can you get me a flyer made on Fiverr for this Zoom seminar? Here's the copy that I want on the flyer. Here go the picture, and then get the flyer made for $5, $20, whatever, and then I post the flyer. And so that's what she does, and I pay her every Friday, $450. So I got to pay her when I get done with this. But she just do all the odds and ends, and all the companies that's writing me about join our app, join this, join that. She do the Zoom calls with them to see what their company about. And then tell them, no, unfortunately, Mr. Gas ain't going to be able to do that. So that's been a huge help. So I do agree with that, delegating some stuff. For the longest, I was against that because I'm like, man, I do my work myself. And everybody who always talking about delegate, and they used to get on my nerves with that because I was grinding. I did it all myself, everything. People come, who run your social media? I run my social media. I built my social media. I don't have a social media manager. I used to get offended, people talking about you got to delegate. I'm like, I can't delegate my destiny. So now I give little odds and ends, to my assistant to do, and that's a lot of money per month. So you don't want to do that until you get to that level. Like, I didn't hire an assistant. I had a couple assistants before, but it was just short-term stuff. Like, one guy was like 4 months. Another young lady was like 2 months. So it was nothing crazy, and they didn't really do any work either. And so I realized then I don't have anything I could delegate because I'm hands-on. But now I got a lot I could delegate. But I waited till I hit 7 figures in business revenue before hiring an assistant, paying that $1,800 to $2,200 a month, depending on how many Fridays in a month. But you're paying $1,800 to $2,200 a month, so that's a good chunk of change. So you can't do that at the beginning of your business. You gotta wait till you get comfortable to where you could afford to pay that $2,000 a month. And so I say that to say, this right here, I had to grind, and I didn't realize, I thought I had to grind because when I was gone all the time doing all that touring, I didn't realize I could make double, triple, quadruple what I was making doing all that traveling. I didn't realize I could make way more than that sitting at home, but I hadn't tapped into my mind. I just accepted the plan that the world gave me that said men got to go out and work. Men got to go out and be gone all the time and be overworked. Men got to put in 60, 80 hours a week. And so I just accepted that. And it was the norm. And guess what? That's people norm. But if you the type of father that you say, listen, I care more about my kids than my pockets. Like, as long as my pockets got something in it, and I ain't, eating out the trash can, my kids got clothes, they could do their activities, what have you, the lights and water, food, transportation, okay. I don't have to have $1 million if I could live off 50,000, if I could live off 30,000, if I could live off 70,000. Listen, you'll be better off living off 50,000 or even 30,000 and having a humble, happy home, and you being in your child life, because you being in your child life as a man might make your child a millionaire. My daddy could have been gone all the time, but he was in my life. The choices I made had nothing to do with him. He was in my life, and he was there, and guess what? His son made it. Him being in my life made a difference in my life. His son made it. He didn't probably never make more than 50,000 a year, but his son made it because he sacrificed all that he could have been doing and everywhere he could have been ripping and running and going to be there for me, to be an example for me. And then look what turned out for me. And then I had to figure out a way, no, I got to be there for my son the same way my daddy was there for me. And so understand that, what I'm trying to tell you. And, you know, it's going to offend you at first because you working, you doing everything you can. You feel incapable of being creative. You feel incapable of making the money you make and having more time freedom. And you feel just bound by the work and societal norms and what the world has told you a man has to do in this here world. But I'm here to tell you, if you want more time freedom, if you want to be home more, it's out there. It's there. Get the knowledge. Hire the business consultant. I'm a business consultant. I'm helping people build a business. I'm showing people how to, if they do what I do, then I'm showing them my exact blueprint. And they making that investment in themselves, and I don't hold nothing back because it's a program I created that's only $7,500 a year. And somebody wrote in about the program, but it was full, and they were like, "Hey, I seen on the program that we get to come to your city and spend a day, like do an in-person immersion workshop, and then if it's during football season, the next day we could go to the football game in your suite." And they didn't even realize that them tickets, if I sold my suite tickets on the street, it would be $3,600 a ticket. And the consulting program is only $7,500 for the whole year, and we have a session every month, an hour to 2 hour session. I don't keep up with the time. We setting the goal, and we getting through their goal. And so people don't even realize how much value, because they learning from somebody who's gonna earn 10 figures in a year, who earns 7 figures but gonna earn 10 figures, and they getting all of that gain for $500 a month, basically $600 a month or something like that. And that's how I try to do business. I want to do business to where I undersell and over deliver so that I never go broke. So that's why I don't charge the industry prices for my courses. I remember seeing young cats pop up and do courses, and these guys way younger than me, way less experienced than me, didn't know 50% of what I know about business and entrepreneurship. I saw two young brothers. I went and looked at their courses. Their course was $2,500 and $3,500. I was blown away. Because at that time, my highest course was $500. And that let me know they value themselves, for one, but two, they bought their bread. They bought that money. And me, I don't make it about money. I make it about purpose. Because when I was trying to make it about money, I was broke. But when I made it about purpose and I started chasing purpose, money started to chase me. And that's when God showed me, listen, when you a servant and you doing this for me, you doing this out of the right place, you got to trust me to take care of you. Don't come out here being greedy and just being and worshiping money and being focused on money. Focus on the work. And so that's what I try to help my clients understand. Focus on the work. The money gonna come. Just do the work. Show up and do the work. The money gonna come. Value yourself. Put a price on it. But anything you charge gonna be too expensive for somebody. So somebody always gonna be left out. And anything you charge gonna be too cheap for somebody. Somebody always gonna be left out. But you got to do it according to your heart and where you feel it needs to be at. And that's how you build business. And so think outside of the box and create and generate. And you'll be surprised. If your mama gave you a recipe, you might go in your house and cook that recipe and let your neighbor taste it. and your neighbor say, I ain't never had nothing taste this good in my life. Man, you need to sell this. Next thing you know, you selling your mama pot roast to every house in that neighborhood. And you got 50 houses in that neighborhood. And them people every Sunday, them 50 houses spending $20 with you. 50 times 10 is 500. Times 20, that's $1,000. Every Sunday off of pot roast. And now that's $4,000 a month. That's $48,000 a year. That's just how I do the math. It worked that simple. And a lot of time we don't think about that. We don't think about that. Listen, if I take my car to the dealership, they charging me $150 an hour on labor. $75 an hour at the least. If you know how to fix cars because your daddy or your granddaddy showed you that, you go and fix your neighbor car, you change your neighbor oil, the dealership charging them $60. You get the cost of the oil and you charge your little fee. You come in at $50, they'll let you do it instead of that dealership. And guess what? You could be doing cars all throughout your neighborhood all day long, making thousands of dollars a week at your own schedule. So when it's game time for your kids or recital time, you ain't doing nothing in that hour. Cause listen, the business ain't going nowhere. It's always gonna be there. But you got to think outside of the box. And you got to create it and make it happen, because we are fathers and we in the home with our kids, but yet our kids still being raised fatherless. Our kids still being raised fatherless. Because the father's too caught up making a living and worrying about money. Hey, this is Tony Gasson. God bless you. We'll talk soon.